Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hardwood Nation podcast with your boy, C.L. Anthony, and my main man, Bryce Ward. Bryce, what is going on?
I'm ready to blow my fucking face off. I'll tell you that much. Or
Well,
or cut, or cut out one of my obliques to give it to one of my best players. That's what I'm thinking about.
I'm going to give you the stage because when I got that text yesterday, I was like, what the fuck? And my lady looked at me and she's like, what's going on? I was like, what the fuck? And I said, damn, another Magic player went down. So, yeah, go ahead, hit me with it because I had no idea about it until you texted me.
I was at the grocery store and I got a ESPN fantasy. Or no, it was an ESPN fantasy alert, but it was
Uh
like
huh.
not for my team. It was just an alert, and it was like Dom's whatever his name is was like torn right oblique, Franz Wagner out indefinitely. I was like, when? What? I was standing there next to my wife, and I go, "What the fuck?" And she goes, "What? What?" And I go, "Franz tore his oblique." She like, "What?" I said, "The same exact injury Paolo has." She goes, "When?" I go, "I guess in that game against Philly." He didn't
Well,
act like he was hurt. He still played well. At some point, it happened. I don't know. All I know is that the NBA gods, must have a real fucking dark sense of humor to make it the same injury as Paolo. Um, no, just devastated, just devastated. Look, it's not like Magic fans came in thinking we're winning a championship this year. It was supposed to be a Paolo breakout, even more
mhm.
so a breakout year, and that got derailed early on, as we know. And then it became Franz's breakout year. Um, Something that we weren't really expecting. Keeping the ship afloat. I mean, there's lots of teams with injuries right now, lots. And the Magic were still finding ways to win games. It was against bad teams, but without our best player, that's all we could hope for.
Yeah,
You know,
we needed
we
that.
played a heavy road schedule so far, and the fact that we were still beating the teams we should and still had elite level defense was enough to win games and enough to kind of keep the season on track and to keep fans, satisfied, keep the team satisfied. But um, I also just hate it for Franz because of the type of season he was getting, all the attention he was getting. You hate to see it. So yeah, the team is just gonna. There's just no way. We don't have enough firepower to make up for that. So I think we're gonna see Jalen Suggs put up some very inefficient numbers in the next few
Oh
weeks.
wow. Oh
I
wow.
think that's what we're gonna see because he's not built to deal with that kind of usage. We're gonna see KCP chuck up some more threes, and then we'll probably see the rookie Tristan Da Silva have the ball a
Oh,
little bit.
time out. Time out. See, now you just upset me. You was doing good, and now you just how you gonna disrespect my little cousin Cole Anthony? He gonna get some points too.
Yeah, maybe off the bench. If you've been watching him play, you will know how terrible he's been. But yeah,
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Everyone has to step up now.
everybody. You're right. You're right. It's easy to forget about him this season, but I will be more than happy to see Cole go out there and score some
Right.
buckets. Trust me, I will be the first one to cheer on Cole Anthony. All Magic fans love Cole. That it's not that. We want him to do better. Everybody loves
Mhm.
Cole. But until Paolo comes back, which best case scenario is like Christmas, New Year's. That's best case scenario. They
Mhm.
haven't given an update on him. We just know he's been doing like stretching and light exercise work. That's it. It seems like his body is healing. Like he's not going to have to require surgery most likely, but they still haven't gave a reevaluation update on him. They said 4 to 6 weeks they reevaluate him, and then but the Magic are keep a lot of that close or that info close to the vest. I won't be surprised if like Paolo just pops into a game near Christmas or something without a lot of notice. But as of right now, there is no info, there's no news, there's no date of return for Paolo. It's just what fans and people paying attention are hoping. And so until Paolo comes back, I mean, we're still not one of the best teams in the league with Paolo back, with Franz out. It would just give us a level of competitiveness against most teams. So I guess we'll just have to wait for that, because in the meantime, it's going to be. I mean, our offense was already ugly. It's going to be real ugly. It's going to be really hard for us to win games without Franz and Paolo. So, yeah, it was a real gut punch, rough day with that news yesterday, and yeah, we're going to see what this defense is made of, because that's all we got now. But another thing that people are talking about more now, but Franz was one of our best defensive players. Franz one of the best two-way players in the league right now, and so it's our defense is going to take a big shot too. It's not just going to hurt our little bit of offense we have; it's going to hurt the team. So that was tough. That was tough news yesterday for sure. Yeah.
Gotcha. Um, I just had a funny thought because Franz has been playing well. So once you told me, I immediately looked at my other fantasy team to see how
Uh-huh.
many other injuries I had, because a lot of the league is injured right now. But let me ask you this question, because I've never seen this before in 30 years of following the NBA. Two players going down on the same team with the exact same injury. That's especially an injury like that. I've never, ever, ever seen that before.
Like I said, the gods must have an ironic sense of humor or something, because
The basketball gods.
yeah.
So last night we had some good games last night, just by looking at the box scores and things like that. We had a lot of standout performances. Evan Mobley dropped 41 and 10. Uh, Jokic 56, 16 and 8. Just a monster game.
In a
Uh,
loss.
yeah, to my Washington Wizards, with Jordan Poole is having a career year, by the way, who went off for, I think he hit 9 threes and 39 points and 8 assists. Like, that's ridiculous.
It was a career high 3 points made game for him. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
pulling for him. You might be the only one outside of Washington.
Again, this season is his career best season ever in the NBA. So, okay.
It's to say something about how he affects winning when they still can't win games with him balling. So
That's cute. That's cute.
that's some nice
Luca
stat padding he's doing there.
Luca is still doing Luca things with 30, 13, and 11. And Cade Cunningham is quietly having a good season. And Detroit, they're not there yet, but they beat the Knicks last night. So that's a good win for them.
When
I
Cade
will.
plays, they're competitive. He missed some games there for a minute, and they were having a tough time, just like a lot of teams are. But yeah, with Cade playing, they're competitive.
Yeah. Because I don't want to be a homer, even though I'm here right now, of course. Miami Heat took out the Phoenix Suns without Kevin Durant, and the Grizzlies, 16
Mm-hmm.
and 8, took out the Celtics. Ja Morant ended the game with 32, 9, and 9. So we had a lot of great performances last night. Does any one of those stand out? I mean, Jokic definitely stands out, because that's just absolutely ridiculous. Would you think Cade is the most surprising, and also with Ja's stat line?
Um, the most surprising win out of those, I mean, obviously beating Denver, but like Washington's not really, relevant in the standings. So I'm not taking a shot. I'm just being honest. The game that stood out to me was Grizzlies beating Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Boston's tough, as we know. Memphis is putting together a good little string of games here with Ja back. And that I mean, from us talking on here, I mean, I've been interested to see what the Grizzlies can do all season with Ja.
Right.
So that was cool to see. I was wondering, with y'all's win against the Suns, did y'all make it to 500 yet, or above 500?
First of all, don't do that. Second of all, we are above 500, and third of all,
I just
we're
check
out of
it.
the. No, hold on. Third of all, we're out of the play-in, and fourth of all, for all the Dwayne Wade statue haters, trust me, there will be a lot of pictures taken today. Okay, now
The face, get a good picture of the face up close.
I'm getting a picture of
Oh, and I
everything.
also wanted to ask you, with Jimmy out, how has it been seeing your favorite white player, second favorite white player on the Heat, step up and kind of lead the team a little bit?
So Jimmy's back.
Because I know y'all want to trade him at like every turn.
Jimmy is back. So let's get that
Okay.
out there. Jimmy's been back this week. As far as Tyler Hero's play this year,
So,
um, I will say he's averaging, and I'm going to round it up, 24, 5, and 5. His points are more impactful this year. His shot making is more impactful this year. And there have been a lot of games where, and I know my lady, she said she was going to pop up on this thing one day, but she's over there asleep. She said, no, how did it go? Forgive me. She said something like, when are you going to give Tyler his flowers? And sometimes we watch the games and I'd be like, God damn, like he's doing good. He's the reason we're still in these games. So he's become more clutch, especially in the fourth quarter. So I will give him his flowers. Tyler Hero has been having a great season. He's leading the team in scoring.
uh-huh,
Um, with that said, this is still Jimmy Butler's team. Okay.
uh-huh.
Do I still want to trade Tyler Hero? Absolutely, because he's a valuable trade piece right now. But in because we need help, we're not where we need to be. But in the meantime, yes, Tyler's been playing great. Kudos to Tyler Hero. Kudos. Okay.
Okay. I'm just wondering. I'm not like a fan of his either. I've noticed that he has been playing better, and he's been helping keep you guys afloat amidst
Yes. Yes.
Jimmy
Yes.
injury. So I was just wondering.
And Jimmy has been missing games with legit injuries, not because he doesn't feel like playing. He's actually been injured. So let me throw that out there too, okay? Because there's been a lot of chatter, especially this week, about should the Heat trade Jimmy Butler. It's not happening. It's never going to happen. All right. So moving right along, let me share my screen here. If you knew how I did this, you would be like, what? All right. Here we go with this, some updated NBA standings. Of course, the number one Eastern team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, will be seeing the Miami Heat tonight, so I get to see them up close and personal. Have your Boston Celtics, your Orlando Magic, the New York Knicks, the surprising Atlanta Hawks. You picked them last year, but this year looks like that's now it's clicking this year. Again, the Miami Heat. Milwaukee had a little run, and now
Yeah.
they've dropped a couple of games, but it looks like they finally are pulling it back together. Brooklyn, Indiana, Chicago. But Detroit, it's not too far out of the play. I'm just half a game out. So
Mhm.
looking at the East right now, the updated East standings, what are your standouts? What are your disappointments?
I love that the Hawks and the Pacers have essentially swapped. I love it. It hurts my fantasy team because Halliburton hasn't been playing up to his standard this season compared to last. But as a Magic fan, I'm enjoying it because of all the trash him and that team seem to have talked. Mostly him, I think.
Just mostly,
Um,
yeah.
they seem way off. They had a couple wins there, but still, they're not getting wins against good teams. I don't think. I mean, really, it's just the Hawks, and I think a lot of it has to do with, I guess, them having faith in trying to find the right guy or guys to put around Trey. And I know we've had our conversations here about, it seems like maybe there's too much allegiance to Trey compared to the entire team, the rest of the team
He's,
as a whole.
he's screwing
And,
somebody in that front office. It's ridiculous.
and I mean, he just, he's got that funky hair. So, besides balling, I don't know what else. Maybe he's funny or something. But also, I think the real key to unlocking this was, Jalen Johnson playing so well.
Yes. Yes.
And, I mean, he's been balling. And the rest of the team has kind of stepped up in ways too. I mean, Hunter has been playing a little bit better this season. Um, so I mean, out of the East standings, the team that stands out the most by far in terms of a positive is Atlanta.
Mm.
Um, you mentioned Milwaukee there for a moment. Brooklyn's just a scrappy team. We didn't expect much out of them, so they're playing good. Chicago just seems like they're stuck in this position until they blow this thing up. And I mean, and it shouldn't be much of a surprise at this point in the season, but uh, if you're a Philly fan, what do you tell Philly fans right now? They did beat the Magic on the second night of it wasn't a back-to-back game, but it was the second night we played Philly in Philly. We won the first game. Paul George was back for the second game, and it was close, but they were able to get the win against my Magic in Philly, but still 6-15. Embiid's court appearances still up and down. Do you think that they can still salvage the season and make a playoff run? Or I mean, you got to think that the play-in is still, I mean, it's still early. You got to think the play-in is still available for them, but like in general, like if you were a Philly fan, how would you be feeling right now?
I believe they were in the play-in last year. They fell into the play-in at the end of the season. I want to say this: it's rats off a ship, off a sinking ship, and I have been the biggest undercover Philly fan for years. I am a huge Joel Embiid fan, but this injury is really the circumstances and the mystery around this injury is really bad. No one outside knows how bad this knee really is. And I'm not going to say it's a career ender, but just with the amount of games that he's missed, with little contact on that knee, by the way, I think Philly's done. I don't think Maxey and George are strong enough to make an impact in the Eastern Conference without Embiid. Just the way that team, and the team is built great, but it all revolves around Joel. And the thing with Joel is he doesn't play a bruising style of basketball. He shoots a lot of jumpers. He goes to the free throw line a lot, but he doesn't play bruising basketball. And I'm not even going to call it a finesse game because it's not a finesse game. It's just more of a mid-range game. But if his knee can't hold up with that, you get what I'm saying? It's not like he's Shaq down there, right? And it's just like, dude, I think his knees. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, I'm not gonna say his career is over, but I don't think we're gonna see prime Joel Embiid ever again because I just don't trust that knee, man.
He used up all the juice left in his knee for last season to get the MVP, and then he bounced. They are lucky in the fact that they seem to really have something in Jared McCain. Is it Jared or Jason? Something like that.
No, it's Jared. It's Jared McCain. And I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I never knew how good he was in basketball. I knew he played basketball. When he was in high school, I just randomly found one of his TikToks, and I'm like, this is neat. So I've watched him for years. And then when he got signed to Duke, I'm like, wait a minute. Is he good enough to play like college ball? Like I had no idea he was that good. And now he's in the NBA after 1 year at Duke and kind of killing it. Might be the rookie of the year favorite right now. I am shocked because I just remember him, the little kid dancing with his basketball player teammates in high school and sometimes dancing with his girlfriend and his sister. And I'm just like, okay. This baffles me. I had no idea the kid was this good. I mean, no one did. No one did. But I'm happy for him. Absolutely. So if anything is going good in Philly, is that. But outside of that, man, Philly's trash.
The fans are going through it.
That's fine. They need to. They need to. Let's move over to the Western Conference. OKC, Dallas. Dallas has moved up. Memphis has moved up. Houston's dropped a little bit. Golden State's really dropped. Then you have the Clippers, the Wolves, the Suns, the Nuggets, and the Lakers. The Lakers dropped a little bit. Denver's kind of been mid throughout the
Mm-hmm.
season. What stands out so far in the Western Conference?
To be honest, I really didn't believe too much in that early Lakers run. It was surprising to me. So I was going to be surprised if they were able to keep that up. It seems like they're having a come to Jesus moment right now.
Yes.
They're trying to figure out some internal things as
Yes.
well because the older LeBron gets, the more glaring Anthony Davis's commitment to performing on the court becomes because he has to carry more and more of that load. So there's lots of games where it seems like AD is not engaged until the second half, and it's just not enough. It's just not enough. And so they're having some real issues. That's not as surprising as it was to the start of the season when they were being so successful. That now it makes more sense. It's closer to where they were last year. I still think they're an okay team, but they're not as good as they were to start, obviously. The biggest surprise to me still, I mean, we kind of gotten used to the Rockets playing well, but Minnesota, they've started making up some ground, but I still expected more. I expected them to be a little higher up in the standings, and I think it's been harder for them to adapt to Randall than it has been the Knicks to adapt to Towns, and I think we're seeing that Towns is the better player out of those two, obviously. I think, and so the Knicks have their own depth issues and their bench issues to figure out, but Minnesota seems to have an issue with the starters a little bit. I think Ant can only do so much. That defense can only do so much, and compared to where they were last season, that's the surprise, is that they've had this kind of drop off. And some of it could be I'm not as familiar with them as I am some other teams' schedules and stuff. If you have a heavy road schedule and you're playing good teams, I can kind of give you the benefit of the doubt. You're trying to figure out the team chemistry and stuff, so it's like it could be something like that. But still, just where they sit in the standings is the surprising part. Golden State still winning is a little surprising. The Clippers winning is a little. I would say 4, 5, and 6 are more surprising that they're competitive. It's just as surprising as Minnesota and the Lakers being out of it, kind of thing. In Houston, it's all defense and coaching. I mean, they definitely have talent on their team. I'm not saying they're not a talented team, but compared to where Houston was at last season and the season before, to see their jump, is one of the more surprising stories. And the West is kind of more taking its shape now, closer to where we thought it would be. Dallas, OKC near the top. Memphis, we had question marks, but they should have been good. It's just we didn't know how good. It's the real surprise is Minnesota and Denver being out of it right now, I think.
Houston is interesting because Ime Udoka, and like I said, I just remember him as a player, but I had no idea until he started becoming a head coach at Boston. I had no idea how strong of a leader he was because he was always a role player on those San Antonio Spurs teams that was winning championships, coming off the bench and so on. But he reminds me of Eric Spoelstra, and the reason why I say that is because he makes the most out of the little. Okay, Houston's not a great talented team. They have a young talent, but they don't have proven talent, and he's making the most out of that. And it's like a double-edged sword because you're always going to be good, but you might not necessarily be good enough to get to the next level. And that's what we've been seeing in Miami for the last 4 years, right? So it's just like they're very similar in their coaching styles.
It actually reminds me of what Mosley has done in Orlando, where he has the young team buying into playing defense and like we'll figure out the offense kind of thing later. Let the guys figure that part out. But in terms of like having the team buy in to and supporting the coach and what he wants to do, it feels like a similar. Now I know he had previous head coaching experience before he got there, so it's a little different than Mosley.
Yeah.
But in terms of like what you just brought up, it does remind me of like a Coach Mosley situation where he has the locker room and he has those guys playing tough. And I mean, the Houston's record is showing.
Yeah. And with Minnesota, if you remember in our season preview, I said this wasn't going to work for Minnesota's end. I know Cat wanted to be closer to home. So for him to be in New York, fine, great. That works. It's going to work. But I've never believed in Julius Randle. I've never. And it's just not gelling right now. As far as Golden State, they started off hot. They've dropped a little bit. I don't know if you've heard this, but Steve Kerr benched Draymond Green.
Yeah. I saw that. I saw his comment on it too, Draymond, talking about
he took
taking the spot over. So
yeah, no, he took it well, but I think this may be the right move for them because they've been grooming Kuminga now for years, and maybe now this can jumpstart them. Even though they got off to such a great start, yeah, it's time for Draymond to kind of pull back a little bit. So yeah, I'm happy he took it so well. Yeah, because some vets wouldn't. Because I'm going to tell you, if he didn't take it well, he wouldn't be in the league anymore. He just would quietly disappear. He would be traded and then disappear. That's usually how it goes. So I'm happy Draymond took it so well. And as far as the Lakers, it just happened to be against the Heat this last game where they lost by 41 points, and everyone lost their fucking minds. Even some former Laker players now, James Worthy and Robert Horry, were questioning now JJ Redick. So we hadn't heard that before, but now we're starting to hear that. So what do you think is going on there? Because yeah, we know LeBron's old and LeBron's been playing a lot of games. We know AD is in and out mentally, but now they're looking at, okay, is JJ Redick really the guy? Is this really a difference from Darvin Ham? So how do you feel about that?
I'd also like to add, I heard a stat where it's like after that Miami game, over the course of like their last 4 games, they've gotten beat by like 120 points. Something ridiculous. When you're winning, everybody looks the other way. When you're losing, you start looking for the problems. That's where you start hearing the AD, is he engaged talk. That's where people are finally starting to say maybe the age is caught up to LeBron. You're starting to hear that. The biggest thing about the JJ Redick situation to me, and I've been consistent with this, that was a bad choice unless the Lakers are winning in the playoffs. And we're obviously not to the playoffs yet.
Right.
Okay, but that's the expectation for that team. To bring in a guy who has no coaching experience out of kids' AAU basketball to coach the premier team in the league with two of the most premier players in the league. I stand there looking at the Lakers fans like, what did you expect?
Right.
Did you think you were getting a Phil Jackson year 1, or did you think you were getting a Popovich or a Eric Spoelstra, or like what did you think you were getting? My thing is, I thought it was a bad choice to begin with. Don't come in here and blame JJ when your team is doing the same shit they've been doing for a few seasons now, and all of a sudden it's the new rookie's coach's fault. You can maybe not like what you're seeing from him on the sideline, or not like some rumors that are circling in the locker room, but to come in and point fingers and be like, yeah, that was the wrong choice, or maybe it wasn't the right choice. You should have had that same energy from the start. with JJ, because to me, you're taking that chance. The staples of the team, the guys who have been there, LeBron, AD, the leaders, Austin Reeves, D'Lo, who's always up and down. The team is no different, and you're going to try to blame the rookie head coach when nothing really looks all that different compared to the last few seasons if you take it all into one big scope. LeBron's getting older. AD is pretty much the same guy he's been for a few seasons. He gives you glimpses of MVP, but then he takes games off, or he takes halves off, or whatever it is. So to me, this is what I was worried about. It's that JJ's not going to lift them up because they're only so good with what they have on that team. And so now you want to point the finger at him. Well, you have to point the finger at everybody. I thought this the other night after seeing the Miami score. And I think the same thing about Philly. With the reputation these teams have, blow it up. Blow it up right now, because you're going to go through this season of lackluster, maybe play-in tournament performance, and even if you make it out of that, you're getting bounced in the first round like you did last year. You're going to continue to blame JJ. You're going to continue to blame those guys that I mentioned, LeBron, AD. It's going to come to the same conclusion, except now we're in year like 4 or 5 of this experiment with LeBron being there and AD. You did get one ring out of it with the asterisk, the COVID.
They won it fair square.
Technically, they won it, but besides that, this Lakers team has not been super impressive. I mean, if I was a Lakers fan, I would just be over it at this point. It's like, how long can we sit here and watch this? Like, I would be. I like Anthony Davis, but I would be over it. But like I said, I would blow up the team and let JJ. It's the whole situation has been weird. You got the Lakers with all this talent, and you bring in a rookie coach. It made no sense to me. Lots of guys know the game the way JJ knows the game. I'm not saying he's not like a basketball head and doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm just saying the fit seemed weird, and the timing of the team and the talent adding a rookie coach seemed weird. And so people can go after JJ all they want. This isn't JJ's fault. He may not be the right fit for the team. I'm not saying that. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to point the finger at him, blow the team up. Just get rid of everybody and everything, because I don't see what you would hold on to. Anthony Davis is a great player. He's an MVP caliber player when he's playing the right way. But he's shown since he's been in LA that he's not about that. He's not about playing that hard every night, all game long. And so, like I said, if I'm looking at this as a Lakers fan, I want to get rid of the LeBron James sweepstakes. I want to get out of this LeBron James sweepstakes before he completely doesn't give you much. And then I want to get rid of Anthony Davis as well, because I don't want to anchor my next team with a guy who only wants to play half the game. That's just me. And I'm not pointing the finger at JJ as much, but I'm saying if I want to move on and I want to blow the team up, I wouldn't be against getting rid of him. I would be open to giving him a chance with a new team. But I'm not. With that being said, I'm not necessarily a believer in JJ as a coach yet. I'm just saying he shouldn't be, in my opinion, the scapegoat when you should have known what you were getting with him to begin with.
Yeah, and they're never going to blame LeBron. And I'm not saying it's LeBron's fault, but they're never going to blame LeBron. And then AD is always protected because of LeBron. But I do want to say this, because this actually happened last year where LeBron wanted to play a full 82-game season. And then Darvin Ham was like, well, we need to restrict your minutes. And then there was an issue there. Darvin Ham's gone now. Now you have JJ Redick. And then we have the same conversation again as far as, okay, LeBron James wanting to play an 82-game season. He has to realize He can't do that anymore. He's going to wear down. He's going to be tired. He's not going to play at the level that people are used to seeing him playing at. Yes, father time touches everyone, but you can slow down the process by taking a game off or two. You can do that. So, like Jimmy Butler in Miami is a whole different conversation. LeBron James is 6 years older than him. LeBron needs to take some time off. So, I'm being a LeBron James advocate right now. Bro, you're 40. You're going to be 40 in a couple of weeks. There's no way you should try to play an 82 game season. Period. It's no way.
I'm ready. I think I'm ready for him to retire. That's where I'm at with it. And I know he's not going to just decide because he's going to do the whole farewell tour like you know, Kobe.
And he deserves that.
He does, but I'm already over the season that we're going to have to look at that every single game and it be talked about every. I'm past that. I wish he would just be in New York with Tom Thibodeau and end his career in the next month because Thibodeau would play him every game. Like, I'm just ready for it to be over, if that makes sense. I don't know.
It's crazy. The sun's coming out and it's washing out my face, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
there's a melanin issue, but that's okay. I think that as great as LeBron is, and again, as much hate as I give LeBron, he's the greatest statistical player to ever play in the NBA. He's the greatest statistical player to ever touch a basketball. Okay. He has to know. LeBron's smart, man. He has to know he can't get through an 82 game season without missing time and still try to play at the level that we're used to seeing him play at. It's done. It's okay to take time off. It is. If you need to take a week off, take a week off. Let AD have it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I don't know why.
It's tough when you're competitive and you look at your team, and even when you're playing, you're losing games though. So when you take those nights off, in your head, you're like, we're taking these L's. That's tough. That's tough for anybody, especially a guy like LeBron James. Sit on the bench and watch your team take L's.
He doesn't have to. What I'm saying is, just because he sits a game doesn't mean they have to take an L. He can be strategic in the games that they sit. For example, let's see here. Even though their last 10 games, they're 3-7. If you're playing the Utah Jazz, sit LeBron James that night. You get what I'm saying? If you're playing the New Orleans Pelicans or the Washington Wizards, those are the games that you sit him.
I will say it's come back to bite us already with Franz being hurt, but I'll say this. The funny joke has been ever since Franz hit that game winner, we broke the Lakers and they haven't been winning games.
So I am not a LeBron James hater. I'm just a realist, okay? And I also, on a personal note, I'm dealing with getting older myself. So there's things in me that's changing. So I know with him being a professional athlete and on the road for half a year, there's things with him that's changing too. So from old man to old man, it's time to sit down some games. Like, you shouldn't try to play. I can't stay up all night like I used to be able to do 20 years ago. I can't do it. I have anxiety now when I drive. I could drive through the ocean when I was younger. I can't do that. I have anxiety. Okay. Especially where I'm at right now. Okay. Last night was horrendous. But so I understand. Trust me.
Can't deal with that Miami traffic, huh?
Bruh.
That's funny.
Bruh. Okay. So trust me, I understand. I told my girl, I was like, I don't want to become my dad, but I think I'm becoming my dad now. Now I understand why he doesn't drive anymore. Okay. So things change as you get older. So, like I said, from old man to old man, LeBron, don't try to play 82 games anymore. It's not going to happen. Sit down some games, against the Jazz, against the Pelicans, against the Wizards. Sit down those games and let AD have it. Okay. Any last thoughts, my man?
Two real quick things I want to ask you. Do you think Denver figures it out and makes it to the top 6 out of the play-in? And is it time for the Kings to blow it up? because the little touches here and there, the little differences they're making, it seems like they're only dropping off from their peak 2 to 3 seasons ago when they kind of popped up for the first time with De'Aaron and Sabonis playing so good. They had that one really good season, and then it's kind of been downward spiral since then. And so, one, do you think the Nuggets can make it out of the play-in, and do you think it's time for the Kings to maybe blow up this team?
Okay, Nuggets making it to the play-in. Well, staying in the play-in, I think that's accurate. I've never seen a team that looks so good fall so hard mentally. I mean, it was 2 years ago they looked unstoppable. It looked like they were going to be around for a long time. And then the last couple of years, it's just been like 50-50. You know what I'm saying? Like the different. So to put it in perspective, the Denver Nuggets has the exact same record as the Miami Heat. And this was our NBA Finals matchup, a year and a half ago. Okay.
Yeah, in the East they'd be like 5th or something.
There'd be 6. Yeah, there'd be 6 in the East. Yeah. So it's mind-boggling to see it. And as great as Jokic is playing, their bench has been thinned out a little bit. And that's the same issue in Sacramento. They don't have a bench. If I'm Sacramento's brain trust, I'm going to have a conversation with DeMar DeRozan. We know you're great. You've been great. It's time to move you to the bench. Our bench needs a punch. Let Fox and Sabonis handle the starting unit, and you can be a punch off of the bench with your shooting. So it's time for them to have that conversation. But I don't think they have the balls. They haven't been established long enough to tell a veteran like DeRozan, hey, we need you to the bench. So it's a different conversation from them than what Steve Kerr had to have with Draymond. Even though Draymond's not the offensive player that DeRozan was and never was, it's different because him and Steve Kerr have that trust. They've been together for a long time. DeRozan just got to Sacramento. But I think they need to move DeRozan to the bench and give the bench more of an offensive punch that will help those guys when they're not in the game. It's time.
Mm-hmm.
He's been great. Is he a champion? No. But DeRozan's been great. But it's time for him to move to the bench. And that's the hardest thing for an NBA player to do. So I always say, and I'm not saying he should retire, but I always have this saying, there's a difference between retiring and being retired. Look at Carmelo Anthony, okay?
Yeah.
If you don't conform, those calls stop coming in. And you'll be waiting for about a year.
Because it just seems crazy for the Kings to be this low. With Sabonis and Fox on the team, it just seems crazy.
Yeah. I don't think, because here's the thing with DeRozan. He's a ball stopper. The ball stops with him. He gets the ball, that's it, right? So it's hard to play off of him, okay? The most glaring thing was 2019. Even though Kawhi was a better player at that time, it worked because Kawhi wasn't a ball stopper. Kawhi could initiate the offense as well. You move DeRozan, bring in Kawhi, and all of a sudden you win a championship the same year. You know what I'm saying? So they need to move him to the bench. So on that note, we're going to wrap up this week's episode of the Hardwood Nation podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share our content. Drop comments below. We always respond. Big Pat, I love you. I know you're going to hate the fact that we started off with the Magic and ended with talking about your Lakers. But everyone stay safe, and we are out.